Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to the new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for missing yesterday's show. But as you know, I'm going to be flying out to LA for all of the gaming festivities to cover it, boots on ground, ass in seat with all and any a show I can get, double barrel, gaming into. So, of course, there is something that is happening on May 7th, and that is you need the real ID in order to fly. And I have the old ID, even though my joint wasn't expired. So yesterday, me and Mrs. Boom spent quite a few hours in DMV standing and waiting, and we got it done. So yes, my new ID is on the way as well as hers, and I will be flying out in June, and I can do it legally with no huff, no puff, no coconuts, as they say. But listen, we're here today. Now, the two topics we're going to get into are raging on social media. That, of course, is Doom the Dark Ages previews. We got a chance to watch, or at least I got a chance to watch multiple 15-minute clips of gameplay. And my God, ladies and gentlemen, not only is Doom back in the biggest way possible, we're getting things that we never knew that we wanted in our lives, but now we have seen it. Cat's out of bag. We know that we need it. And that is driving and piloting giant kaiju-sized mechs and then taking to the skies like Panzer Dragoon, but in Doom. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I'm excited. And guess what? It is in Game Pass. Holy matrimony. Doom the Dark Ages launching into Game Pass day and date. Again, if you don't have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you're doing life wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. But we got to get into, of course, the introductions. But before we get there, okay, we already have nearly 100 people here. I want to welcome everybody in. Second topic of the day. And gentlemen, we were talking in the green room, and of course, because I'm an old man, I had forgotten that I had switched gears, and obviously you've seen it. So we heard, thanks to many reporters, and of course, the one that broke the story is Jez Corden of Windows Central 2 weeks ago, where he didn't do just one story. He did two stories about the ROG Ally Xbox team up. Now, there was, of course, rumors. There were opinions. I had it on good authority that they were, in fact, going to show it at the big event that Xbox was at, where, you saw Jason Ronald and everybody, and it didn't show up. So yesterday, in a very cheeky kind of a way, ROG themselves kind of let the cat out of the bag. Basically, it's a confirmation that this thing exists, where they have a little robot working on something, and it has a controller that's an Xbox controller, and it has a ROG Ally, and it goes into this machine, and it kind of gets mixed up, and they kind of show it just enough to see the lights of the screen, but nothing else. And that kind of tells me, Crispy Bomb, that thing is around the corner. I would imagine that this is going to be an event that's going to be led by ROG. Obviously, it is an OEM product. Of course, you might have someone like Phil Spencer there. You may have someone like Jason Ronald. But that event, in my opinion, has to be happening soon. We will get into that second half of the show. But Crispy, you were off today. Of course, you have officially run the gambit, folks. That's right. He has been on every show, including Breaking News and Double Barrel Gaming Presents podcasts. Welcome, kind sir. How you feeling?
Run the gauntlet. But I want to run Doom Dark Ages gauntlet, because I'm going to tell you right now, that gave me OG Doom vibes.
It
but
did.
In a glorious way. And that shield, oh, that's going to be my best friend. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to be one of those people that's going to mess with those sliders, because, like I've told many of you, anybody that's, been around when I've been on the cast, I'm blind in my right eye. So some of these things with Doom Eternal have messed with me. This one seems right up my alley, and is exactly why I bought the collector's edition. I'm glad I did, because I had a lot of people being like, I didn't get it. And I'm like, I posted it. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it is. But, it just looks glorious, and we're going to get into it.
Absolutely. And Jamie Moran, welcome back, kind sir. You are on the up and up with your health. Of course, that is super important. You've been killing it with your videos, and of course the podcast with Logan Meyer. We'll talk about that on the back end, but you did drop a big video yesterday. How you feeling? Welcome back.
Hey man, I'm feeling a lot better this week. It's an exciting time, man. I mean, the Switch is going to be shown off tomorrow. Doom is just around the corner. South of Midnight's just around the corner. I mean, as a gamer, if anyone is like legitimately not wanting to play anything, they need a new hobby.
Indeed. Listen, I got news for you. I get it that it's so easy to complain, Infinite Umbra, which is something you don't do. You tweet positivity. As a matter of fact, you put out some gorgeous shots of course, Assassin's Creed Shadow, which I got to get back to. I'm playing through 3 or 4 games right now. It is a curse, and because I hate doing it. I hate doing it. I'm literally about to roll credits on South of Midnight. We'll get more of that. Of course, C Money and I are doing an Ask Us Anything, live stream at 12 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. That is when the embargo officially lifts. We can talk about it. We can show some. I am already working on putting never before seen gameplay that is non-spoilery. So don't worry about that. If you tune in, you're just going to get a chance to see her in some different outfits. Nothing spoiled, no boss battles, nothing like that. But I'm very much looking forward to that on Thursday. I finally get a chance to, hang out with the folks of this community and talk about something that we were incredibly privileged to be a part of, and that was the review and preview, for that matter, of South of Midnight. But how you feeling in Infinite Number? Do you have the energy today? Uh-oh, we don't hear you, sir. Well, I don't know what's happening. Infinite Umbra, nowhere to be found. Hopefully, folks, he didn't fall asleep live on the air because, well, he's done that before. But you can't blame him. The guy works midnights.
Can you all hear me at all?
Now we can hear you. For the love of Jehovah, what's going on, brother? Welcome.
I had this device plugged in for my headphones on it, and I guess it cut out my mic. That's weird. Yeah, it was for this. What is this thing? I didn't know that would do that, but I know now at least. This Pro for this headphones I bought, but I guess it cuts off mics for it when I do it. Yeah, no, I'm wide awake this time. I did fall asleep Friday on the show, by the way, on the Infinite Podcast.
I mean, that happens, brother. You work midnights. Yeah. Listen, it's very difficult to do. It's just, No,
I'm energized. Happy to be here with you guys today. Thanks for joining us, Crispy. Morning to the chat and everything. I got breaking news if you all want to hear it. Crazy stuff.
Well, yeah, let's talk about it. What is this? The Jez Corden?
Shared out by Kami.
Oh, okay. Kami's good.
Song will be dropping tomorrow. This
what?
Yeah, crazy.
What?
Wait.
That was my April Fool's right there, by the way.
Got him. Something? How dare you?
Boom is so trusting. Yeah, I love it, Boom. You're so
trusting. Listen, folks, I want you to be aware of something. I love you all, so I'll share something with you. I have said this before. I hope it's not true. My love of humanity is going to be, and that equals naiveness at times, the end of me. I hope that is not going to fact, but I fell for the banana in the tailpipe, and it didn't feel good. Hold on a second. Because Clovio got me this morning. I wake up, I'm making breakfast for me and Mrs. Boom. I'm getting ready for the day. And I look and I see that he tweets Brutal Legend remake is coming, this year into Xbox Game Pass. And it's like, he did it so good. And I was like, oh my God, I'm DMing people. And then Brett Bingham in the chat, of course, I talk with every day. Brett's like, Boom. April 1st, and I'm like, wow. So I had to then go into all the DMs, which I think there was about 11 of them, and be like, I'm a boob. Sorry, disregard.
I wrote it in one of them too. I said April 1st, 2025.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what, folks? We're here to have fun. Hopefully, you're already laughing. It's April Fools. I have stayed away from social media since that one F up because you can't. One banana in the tailpipe's enough in my lifetime, folks. And you know what? Pause. Okay, so, gentlemen, we got to get into Doom: The Dark Ages. This is it's shaping up to be probably one of the best in the series. There's no doubt about it. Again, you go all the way back to 2016 when they revamped what Doom was, right? And we were all completely blown away on how fast and how gory and how brutal Doom has become, right? And obviously, the more powerful the console, the more graphics on the screen. And then, of course, you had Doom Eternal come out. Now, Doom Eternal scored very well. One of the biggest complaints, and I do have to agree, even though I'm a platform guy, there was a lot of platforming in Doom to the point where there was one, I think it was part of the DLC, where you had to shoot before you jumped and caught these. Listen, I don't even remember. I know I died about 170 times before I got past it. I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous. Well, look, we saw previews yesterday basically from everyone. You know, Xbox Era had a great preview. Colt Eastwood had a great preview. So did listen, I don't want to go over the list. The list is huge. Destin had a great preview. He sat down with Khalif Adams again. Khalif, gentleman, human being. He got a chance to talk with Colt Eastwood as well, and it just looks phenomenal. And again, you know, I don't know whether it matters to a lot of people, but it should matter to you if you are an Xbox Game Pass subscriber. Just another feather in the cap of what has been released this year. And obviously, there is just so many games. We just don't have the time. Thank God it's not coming out until May, because at this point, I can't keep up. Like I said, I'm about to roll credits on South of Midnight. You'll get more details on that on Thursday with me and C Money. I can't say much, obviously, but I'm also playing through AC Shadows, which is a phenomenal game. And at every turn, the game just gets better looking. I would even dare say that it's probably the best in the series. Of course, Call of Duty Season 3 is about to start. They had the double XP over the weekend. I did get about 15 matches in, which I recorded. I got to put together in some new video. But let's rewind this back to Doom, the Dark Ages. And we're going to go first to Crispy Bomb. Crispy, this is a big, big game. And what was shown off was, again, you know, you got the shield. You have these massive enemies. A Doom guy looks bigger and badder than ever. His tools of destruction, all new, seem to be just as great as they were before. You know, the glory kills had a bit of a change to it. But I think the big change is the movement. And it looks and it plays like you would expect from a Doom game. Of course, they added some different things this time around where you're not just using Doom Guy, you're piloting a giant mech, you're flying on a dragon. And again, the dragon, it makes it almost like a Panzer Dragoon type of shooter. And I never thought I would have asked for that, but after seeing it, I can't unsee it. Now I cannot wait to play even more. Let's get your thoughts on the preview that dropped yesterday.
Oh, I've watched a lot of previews because, you know, obviously when you buy the collector's edition and see it for the first time, you're like, yeah, this is my jam. But as I went through like all the other, the only complaint was from, and I cannot disagree with him until I play it, Skill Up, and he was about the dragon. And I was like, he didn't like the way it was handled, and he kind of, go watch his video and make your own opinion. That's what I'm saying. Because Skill Up, I used to watch him for Division content back in the day. Like I always respect his opinion. You know, he's very mindful. You know, like the rest of the game, that man was like, this is incredible. And I think it comes down to like, not all of us want to jump over people. Like, so that's where I say, like, where's Boom at with this? Because he loves playing Halo. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like some of us just want to be grounded. You know, that's why I'm a Gears player. And you know, like you could jump, but it's not nothing crazy. You know, like Eternal, I felt like I was floating in the air, like I was on the moon sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, and it was too much for somebody like me. And that's not to take away from anybody that enjoyed that game. Like, I love that game. I think it's incredible, but it's also extremely difficult. And I think also, with the, they didn't hold your hand, but also you knew what to do, but also it required like 12 button presses to do certain things in Eternal. That's what I felt like. So now they said we simplified it, and actually then I'll go to IGN. I watched Ryan McCaffrey do that interview with Hugo, and I don't remember the other guy's name. I'm sorry. Hugo's he's the voice of this right now. Like he has some passion for Doom. I'm sorry. Like that dude loves Doom, and he's like I'll die playing this game basically. So, like making it, playing it, whatever. Like he loves Doom. And they really wanted to like gravitate some new things, like not always have this same gameplay loop. And I think that's where the dragon comes in, and also the mech. I think the mech is going to be something that people are going to go crazy for, because you're going to want more. And also in that interview, they were like, look, like we had the option to make multiplayer because a lot of people are not happy about that. And they said, no, we want to make like a full-on campaign, cinematics, the whole spiel, take all this team that used to work on multiplayer and have them help on just making this game like incredible. And I mean, look, 2016, totally different from Eternal in gameplay style and everything else. But you never had that little nuance that was like, oh, okay, I get to have something different. So they added that. And then the gameplay style is completely different again. And on top of that, it's up my alley. So it's like, I'm sitting there like, dude, like, and it's IdTech. Like, dude, engine looks incredible. I don't care what anybody says. Like, somebody says 360, I'm like, no, bro. Like, did you actually play on 360? Are you just too young? Because no, bro. Like you could even go and do Ultimate Edition of Gears of War, because that's where I go to, against the original Gears of War. Yeah, no, that totally different. It looks totally different, and it really, the play was the same, but it's just different. And then you go and look at how they like set up. Like everybody's worried about the sliders and everything, and I'm like, yeah, but you couldn't. If you were like a superb, like you absolutely murdered Eternal, and you are like one of the greatest Doom players ever, you can throw all those sliders up people, and you can put it on the hardest difficulty and see if you get anywhere, because I don't think it's possible. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the way they were talking, like, oh, you could make it as difficult as, most of them are like, oh, okay, I'll put the highest difficulty, but I'll have the slider of the projectiles coming towards me slower, and that's the way I want to play the game. But if I get hit by one, I die immediately. So it's one of those things, like they're just giving you the option, but you could just play the game and just put your difficulty to where it is and play it the way it's, the way they had it. But the sliders are there for somebody like me who, may want to play at a decent difficulty, but also like that projectile coming from the right on my screen is, I don't see it very well. So then, I have that little bit of slowed time to, strafe the way I should. And like they said, it's very horizontal. Like the game is supposed to be horizontal, and that's the way they saw it, because they went and they apparently do this every time they're about to make a new Doom game. They go and play the original Doom, and they're like, the answer's right there. Hugo's like, the answer's right there in front of us. Like, we've done all the other things, like just go at it, everything else. And then, the emphasis, like, oh, it's slower. It's not slower. Like, when you involve that shield charge, I mean, you could mop up people. You know what I mean? Like, nothing.
Dude,
so
it's so brutal, bro.
And that shield is just like, that's their element. Like, that's the thing that is making this game that some people might not like feel different, because, you still get hit if you block one of the red, elements. But when you block the green, you get a little hit boost back to them, and you can keep going. And then, they even went into, they just went into so much. And I'll be honest, like, I'm not an IGN fan, but that interview, I watched the whole thing. It was very good. Like it, Ryan McCaffrey did a good job with that. Like I gotta admit. So you gotta say, like, when everybody's excited, for a game that, essentially, like, it's at the beginning of my life, boom, you're a little older, like, sorry, bro. But at the beginning,
hold the phone there, fella.
So like, this is where I go and say, like, I didn't beat Eternal 2016. I barely touched, but I beat the original Doom. Okay. And there ain't no achievements you can find because it was on a Gateway 2000. All right. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, this gave me old school vibes with ridiculous graphics. And I'm sorry, when I watched it on my TV, I don't know, like, even it being, like, streaming and everything else, it looked glorious. And that's where I say, like, there's a lot of mechanics that I think a lot of these people that previewed it aren't allowed to say. And they just, like, the one weapon that they showed was that ball and chain one that just, like, charged up. It was like a M-bar ball and chain. But then they're like, at the end, Hugo's like, oh, we've already revamped that. It looks even better now. So they're still working on the game until they go gold.
Yeah,
they're working on the game right now, I believe. So I'm telling you, they're not messing around with this one. This one, in my opinion, is going to be one of the game of the year contenders. That's the way I look at it.
Friggin', you're absolutely right, and that's the thing. You're right. Until they go gold, they're going to be tweaking and tweaking, and this thing is going to come out perfect. And by the way, Umbra, I'm not going to you next. I'm going to Jamie. But yes, I did blow myself up. How dare you point that out? You see how many kills I'm getting in this board? This board is chaotic. How dare you, sir?
I was hoping you wouldn't see me write that in there. Like, hopefully he didn't see that.
I did. I think I grenaded myself.
Listen, you're doing far better than I could. I'll tell you that right now. I would get smoked in this game.
This is one of my most favorite boards because it's so chaotic. You're literally running shoulder to shoulder with the enemy, and you're just destroying each other. Like, I had as many as 70 kills on this board. And of course you have a lot of deaths too, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, you know what? Day Reezy said shots fired, man. Day, shout out to you, brother.
I saw the grenade. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't the red indicator mean it's near you?
Yeah.
Next thing I know, boom. I'm like,
all over the place. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, we'll get your hot take about Doom in a second there, Umbra. Listen, Jamie, let's bring you in. Now, obviously, we know you're a big Doom fan. You've been tweeting about it even before the previews went out. And look, again, shout out to the content creation community. And again, there are just too many to mention. ACG's was phenomenal. Skill Up, I only got a chance to watch a piece of it. I like Skill Up stuff. I've been a fan of him for years. I don't mostly agree with some of his takes. I didn't hear about the Dragon one until you made mention. Now I have to go watch it in whole. But yesterday was so chaotic and so busy that I didn't get a chance to really, watch like everyone's. But I did see a lot of people got it covered. I watched Colts, which was really good. I checked out Destin's, which was excellent. Listen, folks, this is going to be a game of the year contender. I think Crispy's onto something. Again, there's a lot of great games coming out this year. For me right now, like as it stands, Avowed is my game of the year. Is that going to change? It possibly, of course, but we'll see. You never know. But I quite enjoy Doom. This is a return plus because not only are you getting old school Doom, which is, this brutality, and Doom's always been known for its brutality. It seems to be turned up to not 11, but 17. And I'm here for it. Again, maybe the flying aspect isn't going to hit with everybody. Okay, if you don't like that, that is absolutely fine. The driving a mech the size of Godzilla, yes, freaking please. I think that it's interesting that they did have you riding a dragon, have you piloting a mech, have you on boots on ground, destroying people. Again, the previews do not do this game justice until it's in our hands. So the final build is in our hands, and we're playing it. I cannot wait to see what they add to it, because I think they're going to add stuff as well. Jamie, let's get your thoughts, your theories on the previews and what you took away from it.
I mean, it looks bloody fantastic. Like, there's nothing really else you can say other than that when you talk about it. But like, look, Doom 2016. The best thing about that was its circle strafe and combat, and it was very addictive getting to combat. Doom Eternal was very vertical, and a lot of people were kind of put off by that. And with Doom the Dark Ages, they've basically made like, look, you are basically a walking tank. You're Captain America, but with a a chainsaw shield. You're going to walk straight into battle, and they showed that off yesterday. And I think that's what you needed from this Doom game. And you need a power trip as a Doom game as well, and that looks like this is going to be it. And I think when it comes to Doom games, they can be pretty long sometimes. I think mixing it up with Pacific Rim sized mech gameplay plus a dragon with laser wings. I never knew I needed that in my life, but I do. And it looks phenomenal. And the cool thing about those things is that they aren't just these one-off set piece moments, which you would see in a lot of other games. Like, they are actual parts of the game that happen multiple times. So for me, that put a smile on my face, because I absolutely hate it when a game gives you a really cool game mechanic that you use once. Absolutely hate that. But it looks like that's not going to be the case with this. And the concentration on single player, as Crispy said, I think that's the right way to go. Like, Doom MP has never popped off. I don't know if I could talk about this, but I will anyway. I was in the Doom closed alpha back in 2015 or 2016, whatever, and that never got released. Right, the multiplayer that we got played differently. It was way different, but the alpha experience was incredible. But the one they launched with was awful. And then Doom Eternal had weird multiplayer. I don't think I even played that once, ever.
Wow.
And concentrating on single player, it's just the right way to go. It really is. Have all resources on this campaign. It's going to be the biggest Doom campaign to date. It's the first Doom game to have, well, other than 3 really, full-on cinematic style storytelling. And I never thought they would actually do that for a Doom game, but it looks like they've knocked it out of the park with this one. I've seen Game of the Year being thrown around a lot with this, or Game of the Year contender. Even though I don't like using that term this early in the year, I could see this winning a lot of awards at the end of the year. I could see this being a lot of people's Game of the Year, because it's a power trip. And I don't think we're getting enough of those these days in video games. So for me, like, everything I saw yesterday, the way the items work, the way you use your shield to get across the map, even though it does have bigger levels than Doom Eternal, it's less vertical, which for me, I'm a huge fan. The customizable difficulty, I think everyone's going to love. Every aspect of this game, it looks like they've took what people wanted from the first game, 2016, and Doom Eternal, and kind of combined them together. Because every Doom game, in my opinion, has been really good. There's always just been one element that's kind of been something people didn't like. But all in all, I think Doom the Dark Ages, they're going to knock it out of the park. It's coming out next month. Like, it's going to be one of the biggest games of the year.
Look, you're right. It's only April 1st, as a matter of fact, April Fool's Day, which I totally forgot. Umbra, using the term Game of the Year, for a lot of us, because we're all content creators here on the panel. We know there are some content creators, and of course we have over nearly 300 people here, which is great, watching live. We play a game and it just sticks. I saw Thanaros in the chat, and he's like, "Yeah, Avowed is currently his Game of the Year as well." For me, it's Avowed, and look, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that I'm playing through Assassin's Creed. I'm about to roll credits in South of Midnight. I got to get back to what you see on your screen, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Season 3 is going to start soon. But if they dropped a New Game Plus tomorrow, I'd go right back into it as if I didn't play it. I'm actually like chomping at the bit, so to speak, to get back into Avowed. And I'm going to play it in a totally different way. Instead of first person, I'm going third all the way. I want to see what that is. I'm going to take Jamie's advice and use the slider numbers that he gave me and bring it real super close. And I'm going to use a fighter build rather than the wizard build, which I originally started out as a fighter and then started getting the wands, started getting the books. I'm like, you know what, F the fighter. Now I want to use battle axes. Now I want to use maces. Now I want to use the shield. So I'm going to play it in a different way just to experience it in a different light. And I'm very excited for that. So using the words game of the year, a lot of people don't like doing it, but I think it's safe to say, Infinite Umbra, that this game, based on, and again, this is just based on the preview. Could we all be wrong? Sure. But it is id Tech. It is the maker of Doom. Make no mistake, this is a Doom game. And it appears they have hit once again. Let's get your thoughts on the preview.
Yeah, from what I've seen with the preview, I liked everything I saw. I saw somebody earlier, they mentioned Eternal to them was better than 2016. I have the exact opposite view.
Okay, wow.
For me, 2016's movement, general combat, story, everything felt better to me than Eternal did. And I haven't finished Eternal, but from what I played, I was kind of like, I don't know if you all remember, we were having a discussion about what was the name of that dang thing? Unreal Tournament.
Yes.
And I was talking about how I couldn't get into that because it's just people just flying around at super speeds and like that's not for me. Eternal felt like that to me. And it's not quite as ridiculously fast, but it felt like, okay, the next thing you know, like it felt like I was I had ADHD or something. I don't know how else best to explain it. It just wasn't for me. And it wasn't the vibes wasn't vibing is the best way I could put that, because it was just like, okay, run around, oh, demons, rip eye out, stab. Okay, all right, shoot. Like it felt like really, really hectic for no damn reason. and I know he's in a hellscape situation. Of course, it is for a reason, but it just didn't work for me. But I know people who swear by it. So my view is clearly not in the majority or whatever or anything like that. I don't want to make it sound like mine is. But it just didn't work for me, man. So seeing that this game is more methodical in a way, pacing wise, and how they went back to what they call what do they call it? It's a name they call it, the stand and fight approach. So seeing that they have this more stand and fight approach going on for this, yeah, exactly, Lynn. Eternal is for the sweats. And I'm not a sweaty type of shooter player, Even I play Halo, if you got the experts and then they start going crazy, it's like, all right, it's time for me to hang it up, because I don't know, maybe I'm too old for something like it now. Now I'm like, all right, y'all got it. You got it, young buck. You got it. I just don't have the energy to compete like I used to, I guess. And I don't want to have to wrestle with the game to get through it. Like it feels like Eternal is that I'm going to have to really be focused in and be intense the whole time, especially with the music pumping and I'm like, all right. And I feel like the old man or something in the room. But no, seeing the visuals, id Tech engine looking beautiful. I had a revelation, Boom, playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, as you mentioned earlier, and how gorgeous it is. And it is gorgeous. I have come to understand that maybe perhaps, just perhaps, I had been a little too a little unfair to other engines. You know what I mean? I have my love for Unreal, but I seen how the Anvil engine with AC looks so freaking incredible, and then seeing the id Tech engine in action, it's like, okay, clearly Unreal is doing some heavy lifting, because a lot of people use them and use that engine in general in gaming. But man, you cannot sleep on id Tech. It looks really, really damn good.
Yeah.
I saw I think somebody mentioned that they thought visuals looked downgraded or anything. I didn't think that. I thought it looked pretty damn good. You got this medieval setting he's in. He looks badass with that armor. I love the general slower movement. I like that he has.
They really make him feel like a tank, because he's methodical in his movement.
He got more of a tanky build and everything, which kind of brings me back to a bit of a Halo CE feel a little bit watching it, because Chief is more slower in Halo CE. He's not as fast as he is in Infinite or whatever, right? And even like Jamie pointed out with the shield, for instance, that you get to parry with it, you can block in general, and you can traverse, for travel around with it and things like that. I just like so much about how they're approaching this right here. And then you go to the more, like he mentioned, the scale, and so they got more of an ambitious size for the map, so it's pretty sizable, and I like how they're approaching it. Also, too, you got like what do they call it, the kaiju sized like enemies you're going to be going against, as Crispy mentioned, as you get inside the Atlas, I think they call it, the mechs, right? The Atlas. And of course we get inside of the cyber dragons. I cannot wait to do all that. Just seeing the previews for that looks super fun. Apparently it's not just a one-time thing. You're going to get the chance to do it multiple times. I only watched Colts and John from Xbox Era's preview.
Yeah, Xbox Era's was excellent.
I thought, if I had to choose between the two, both did a great job. I thought John's was more in depth on how he explained some of the details. Really well done, both of them, though. I don't want to try to throw shade or anything.
No, of course not. No, absolutely. I mean, listen, we all have our favorites, and I do like the work. If it's not John that's doing it, it's certainly Jesse Norris, and they do an amazing job over there.
They do, for sure. Shout out to both of them. I don't want it to come off the wrong way. I just got more out of what John had. I think he really went to detail on how he spoke about the engine and things of that nature. I thought he did a really, really professional level job on how he explained it. Nino asked, he said, how are you playing at quality or performance? I think balanced, Nino. I'm thinking
that has become the standard fare. I'm starting to notice, especially with people who have TVs that can run 100, the 120 hertz.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. 60 is great. If you can run it at 120, even better. Obviously, a lower spec. I'm probably, if the option is there, because I do have a newer TV, and most of the games that I've been playing recently, like Avowed and a few others, have a perfect example. Avowed, Assassin's Creed, Shadows give you the 40, which you get the best of both worlds,
which is pretty dope.
Which is really dope, because you're getting the visuals and you're getting the speed. You're not getting 60, but you're getting 40. And the way that these things are optimized, at least for me, that's probably how I'm going to run it, because I do want the game to look good. And that's the other thing. You made mention of it, Umbra, and I kind of want to just address it, that you saw some people say that it was downgraded. Folks, here's the thing. I'm not getting paid to be here. That's number one. And I'm not getting anything from Xbox or ID or anyone over at Bethesda. But these games, they are compressed. You are watching, yes, you're watching 4K, but you really got to wait to see this on your screen, because Umbra even said it the other day when you were talking about last week about AC Shadows. The game, on like the pictures you took and the video that you showed, doesn't do the game justice to you're seeing it on your TV. And I believe that's the same thing listen, the ID team and ID Tech, it doesn't miss, folks. This is going to blow the eyeballs to the back of your heads, Umbra.
Yeah, I believe so. And another thing too is, I know they said, I believe some of the review, they were discussing that they simplified the controls a bit more too for this one. Yeah. So they've also added difficulty sliders, which is
interesting. Yes. Crispy was talking about that.
Yeah. So, I missed that part when he mentioned that. Yeah. So what was your thoughts on that? Like, you guys and them adding a difficulty, because like you feel you typically you just get what you get, and you're gonna have to rip and tear your way through, as they say, right? So I guess they have the journalist mode easy for gamers to try to get through, and then they have the tougher, more hellish difficulties. What's your thought?
I'll hand it over to everybody and say, get your thoughts on this. Here's the thing, folks. There's no wrong way to play. I gotta be honest with you. Like, I don't see anyone standing at the door of the podcast checking your card to see what difficulty you played game A on. No one does that unless you're 12, right? Like, if you're going to throw shade at someone because they don't see, that's the thing about life, right? I don't mean to get preachy here, folks, but right now, like, you take a person like me, I'll put myself on the stand. I work out and I've gotten super serious into it where I'm doing 4 days a week. Like I can't miss a day. So I have to find time for that. I got to get an hour in. I don't care where and when it is. I got to get it in. But I also have responsibilities to the home. I got to make sure I'm a good husband to take care of Mrs. Boom when she gets home from work. Either I'm cooking or we're ordering out and spending time with her. And I know this is real life shit that nobody wants to talk about, but in all of that, besides taking care of the house, I have to not only do 5 shows a week, but now I've been cutting at least 10 videos on top of that. And I got to figure out time to play a freaking game. Now, for me, I always play at medium. The only time I go like hardest difficulties when I play Call of Duty single player. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna die 1,000 times on this board, but I'm gonna go for it. I think that this particular aspect is brilliant because we only have so much time in the day. Unfortunately, there's only 24 hours. And if you don't have the time as a gamer, for whatever reason, from one reason or the other, Umbra, to play on the hardest difficulty and get your teeth kicked in and die on a particular board 1,000 times, I think this is brilliant. Give the people the ability to play the game and enjoy it the way that you can personalize this thing. That is awesome. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm with you on that. Like, I don't judge anybody for the difficulty level they choose or anything like that. Play what's comfortable for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's ask Crispy, what are your thoughts on you made mention of it. You said that you're going to use the sliders to your advantage because a lot of people don't know this. He's blind in his right eye, folks. You did not know that about Crispy Bomb. He dropped that bomb today, pun intended. Crispy, you're all for sliders. Any additional thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm enjoying the game. I don't need approval from the subset community about enjoying the game. And, when you give me these options, I'm going to at least give them a shot. Not to say that I won't start out as probably you would, as like a medium difficulty, just going through it. But, like I said, like, coming from, the right hand side of my screen, those projectiles I might miss. Like if the green is all the way to the right, I might miss it. But if it's slowed down a little bit, it actually might feel as good, if not better, than I was just trying to do it myself or die. That's where I brought up, them saying like we have people that are constantly testing this game and they're like changing the sliders constantly, and it's to their liking, because if you're a gamer, like, is that a bad thing? Like, I just, it's one of those things, like, I don't know, like, like Forza, like, I've adjusted the sliders on that. They've been doing this for a while. But you don't have to. Like, everybody's like, oh, they're dumbing it down. I'm like, dude, like, what do you mean? Like, you just don't have to. You don't have to do that. Or if you are like the greatest Doom player in the world, jack them all up. And basically you go left. It was like, yeah, I don't see anybody doing that. Like, something's got to go down in some. If it's the projectile speed that goes down, okay, but they'll be at the hardest difficulty. But if they get hit once, if they screw up, then they're dead. Okay, so it's one of those things, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I like what I like, and gaming is gaming, and I like how many times the bear. Remember with Avowed? Come on, the bear. Okay, I beat that mother trucker. All right, with all level 1 weapons, by the way. Okay, and that was playing in third person, and I didn't hate it, or I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now I've backed off, and I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. But right now it's like, there's so many games coming out, especially that are going into Game Pass. Like, obviously I got the $200 edition of, Doom Dark Ages, but at the same time, that's because I'm a collector in a way. And I feel that it's important to have that statue, because I think that statue looks incredible. Oh, man, and it's one of those things, like, like you're bringing stuff that I love, like a chainsaw shield. Come on now, like like things like that. It's like I look at a game and I'd be like, okay, like Eternal. I think it's a great game, but it's not quite my jam. I bought it, everything. I don't know how far I got into it. I went back into it and I was way farther back than I remember. Whatever. But that's what I say. Like, and then I got to the the elements that like like you gotta jump and you gotta strafe and you gotta do this and that and then you gotta get to this thing, and then I'm like I just don't have this in me anymore. And like for it to be so grounded on the ground, and then like like you're on the ground and then you use the shield to launch up, like those little elements, I'm like, this is more of what I want. And I think, like, and everybody, I'm sure there's going to be people out there be like, oh, they're basically telling you when to, strafe or when to block. You know what I mean? Like, they're telling you all this with the green and the red. And I'm like, but is that a bad thing for especially somebody like me? Like, it's not like I'm going to mess up. I'm probably going to die. Like, I play a game because I want to play it. That's the point. And I think a lot of people have lost that, but that's up to all the haters, as I like to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good stuff. Before we move on to the next topic, and this one's going to be just as big as the Doom, the Dark Ages conversation. Jamie, what are your thoughts on the sliders? Because I think that it is a great question from Umbra regarding the sliders. I think, and again, this is just me, folks, I don't think options are a bad thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm a lunatic, but I think that if the more options you have as a gamer, you're probably winning. What are your thoughts, man?
I think it's great. Like you said, Boom, like there's only so many hours in a day. Like, would it be nice to have infinite amount of time and sweat through every game? Of course, right? But like, I don't want to do that with every game. Like, Call of Duty, for instance, I play Call of Duty on hard or higher, right? Because I like the first person shooter experience like that. But every other game, I basically play on normal, right? And you know what? If people want to play on easy or change things, like Atomfall came out last week, it has a fully customizable difficulty mode, right? You can customize everything, the amount of damage you take, the amount of enemies that could be in a certain area, everything. And I think it's great. I think more games should do this. And I'll mention this because so Final Fantasy X is one of my favorite games of all time. I played it on the PlayStation 2. And when it came to Xbox consoles in, I think, 2020, I bought it that day. And I played it for like 8 hours straight. I made my day free just to play that game. And then I hit a certain part early in the game, and my eyes rolled into the back of my head because then I realized this game is excruciatingly hard. And like a lot of JRPGs, admittedly, I do actually put onto an easier mode because they take a lot of time to go through. And like, look, Final Fantasy X, for instance, it's like a 90-hour game. I would love to be able to play that in the future on an easy mode and maybe finish it in 50 or 40. But like, some of these games are just too long, and some of these games do artificially inflate their length by being harder games. But at the same time, I see people bring up Elden Ring and how that doesn't have difficulty mode, but it's kind of dynamic because you can make that game easier in a lot of ways. But for things like Doom and other games with the sliders, I think it's great. I think more games need to do this. I mean, we've seen it with Atomfall last week. Doom's going to do it this week. Forza's done some stuff in the past with the amount of the AI and stuff. I think it's great. I think more developers need to give people options because, look, is it cool for someone to go out there and say, look, I beat this game on the hardest difficulty. I got the achievement. That's great. But who cares? And I think the stigma for playing games on easier modes or changing things up actually started from that person that couldn't finish that first tutorial in Cuphead.
I knew you were going to make mention of that. You're talking about that particular journalist who won't name.
Like, don't get me wrong. If someone wants to play Doom on an easier difficulty or change things up, that's not the same as someone that can't jump over a block in Cuphead in the tutorial. Right?
Yes.
When it shows you the tutorial in words on the screen and what you have to do, right? And a little image showing you what you have to do. It's not the same thing. So like I think it's great that they're going to offer people different options. I wish more games did it. And look, when I fire up a game that I've really been looking forward to, and there's a certain aspect about the game that I can't stand. Do you know what I do? There's a big chance I just walk away from the game.
There you go.
I could be hyped for months. Like, okay, I'll use a game for an example that I'm sure everyone in chat's heard. Lies of P. Right? I was probably the first nerd on Twitter hyping up that game. I was so hyped for this game, and then the game came out, and I loved the gameplay. But then it occurred to me, it's a parry-based system. I can't stand parrying in Souls-likes. I prefer using blocking with shields and stuff. And then after maybe 12 hours, 16 hours or something, I was like, I just can't do this because I can't stand parrying in that game. And so I walked away from a game I've been hyped up for like 3 years for.
Yeah.
But if I could go in and change things up, I'd go back to it tonight. So like I think it's great the offering options. Hopefully more games actually learn from it and offer them because look, we don't have infinite time to play these games.
Yeah, there you go. No, I mean, great points all around. Listen, again, awesome 300 plus people here watching live. If you're already enjoying the content, please consider hitting the like button. Folks, we're under 200 away from 16K. And you can help us get there by hitting the like button while you're here, hitting the subscribe button, folks, if you haven't done that already. And I do want to get into the next topic. But again, this was a great way to open up the show. And we're going to hang around probably for another, 40 minutes, give or take. But I do want to, I already have it ready to go. Normally I'm talking about it, but now I've learned that I can have the footage ready to roll, especially they did a big update for the software. Folks, yesterday, ROG Ally dropped a 30-second video. Again, I'm going to play for you in a second. And basically it confirms that the ROG Ally X Xbox OEM console not only exists, but I would imagine that we're going to hear something soon. Now, is it soon like this week? I don't think so. I don't think anyone wants to get in the way of April 3rd. And that, of course, is the Nintendo Switch reveal, which I'm going to be there watching and very excited for because, well, it's the Nintendo Switch 2. Supposedly, the pre-orders are going to go up on the 9th. I don't know when and where. I'm up at 6 every day anyway, so I'll be up. And if I can pre-order it, I'm going to make sure that I can get at least, I know it sounds crazy. Yeah, I need 3. That's right. I need freaking 3 of these things. And I hope that they have bundles. I really do. I hope that I know people are like, oh, boom, what are you talking about? Bundles. Yes, bundle the shit out of me. Please pause. I want to, I want to get, again, I don't know what they're going to have. I think there's rumors that there's going to be a Mario Kart 9. That's for me and Tyler. I might just get the regular system for Mrs. Boom because she doesn't care about Mario Kart. We don't need 2 copies of it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't freaking wait to see what games are going to be coming this year by Nintendo. I don't care what third-party stuff because I won't buy them. Most of them we all probably have already. But I'm very much looking forward to the Switch 2. And again, I'm a Nintendo nerd. I'm not going to apologize for it. But, gentlemen, we got to talk about this ROG Ally X Xbox OEM piece of hardware that was leaked originally by Jez Corden of Windows Central, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast with Randolph Thor 19. And he didn't do just one publication, folks. He wrote 2 articles on it. And look, folks, it's happening. I did hear originally it was going to be at one of the big shows, whether it be CES, which it wasn't there. What was the name of the other one that was just last week? GDC, thank you. And it wasn't there. I thought it was going to be for sure shown at GDC. But we'll you know what? Let's watch the trailer, and we will get into it right now. Here we go. Let me just get into it. Give me a second. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. I have to get rid of this screen first. Give me a second. We'll get there now.
I thought I had made a faux pas or something again. I'm like, is that on me?
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Again, 31 seconds in length, not that big of a deal. But I do want to, we got to break it down because, and of course, I'm going to go first to Crispy Bomb. Look, as we've heard from places like Xbox Era, as we've heard from places like, of course, Jez Corden, this is not the Xbox handheld. This is an OEM device, meaning that this is from a third party. But I still think it has relevance. I want to get your thought process, and more importantly, the excitement now that we basically have it confirmed from ROG. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, if they integrate Xbox Live / Game Pass, or if I'm just an Ultimate Game Pass member into that system, I will buy it. It's one of those things like, you know what you already have. It's actually pretty good. I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't care. The one thing I'll say is a lot of people are like, well, why didn't Microsoft doesn't do that. Like if somebody is going to make something for them, they let them announce it. That's the way they roll. Okay. Like, and it's just, I feel like it's just out of respect. Like, you know, like you're going to make this and it's going to be integrated with our software and all these other things. They're going to do that. And they're going to let you announce it when you're ready. Will they tease it? Absolutely. They will. They have teased it for a while. We've been talking about this for a while. And the one thing I'll say is that if you look at, so like, let's say hypothetically, it has, you know, just a little stand in the back and you can play with your Xbox controller rather than being on the handheld itself. I mean, is that a bad thing? This is where I say, like, everybody hates Microsoft for giving you options, and I'm like, yeah, but that's what they've done forever. Like, you know, if you ever use Windows, they change things all the time, but a lot of times it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, a lot of times you're like, oh, this actually helps a lot. Like, you know, like, little widgets and stuff like that. Like, hey, we can help you here. And then it does. They've been doing this. Okay. So you look at something that's a handheld device, but it's not for somebody like me or Boom. But then you say, okay, but you could just, you know, it's already installed. And I think that would be important. The Xbox app, which we keep hearing that they're working on, okay, like to make it better and better and better. And it's already installed in this new console. And it's a part of the entire ROG ecosystem, and it's like a pillar. And it's like, okay, you have an Xbox here, but it's really just software, and we're making the hardware. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is where we're at. Like, you have to understand. Like, you don't need to see some kind of crazy hardware until a company makes it, and then all of a sudden they're going to integrate it with Xbox. And we saw that, like, I saw the controller, and it was quite funny because it's a bot. Guess what? What are we all called? Xbots.
Robots.
Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's actually, it's clever. Okay. And it also, like, the music gave me Sony vibes as well with Astrobot, which is weird. Okay, so what do they like? They're like, okay, like but if you want to get into it, like what I want is you're able to play your Xbox games, but if you want to tinker, because I've seen people play PlayStation games on Xbox many times with the dev mode and all that. If you want to tinker, you can play Steam games and everything else. And this is where we're getting into like this weird, like, you know, like everybody's like, oh, I could play PlayStation games on Steam if the new Xbox comes out with Steam integrated and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, do you know how many games come out on Steam? I ain't worried about
last year was
PlayStation games.
19,000.
I'm not worried about PlayStation games because I see my son like getting into weird, like, and they don't look great, but it's just a fun experience. And I think, like, you know, a lot of people, like, I'm sorry, Colin Moriarty, you're wrong, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that at some point this week. I think we're gonna save.
I'm gonna tell you right now, okay? It's not about me, okay? I'm an OG, all right? It's about that kid up there that's like, man, like, I could take this box around and, you know, travel, and then, you know, like, he loves bringing games with him. You know what I mean? Like, he loves having those experiences with other people if he goes and stays at grandma's or something. You know what I mean? Like, he loves doing that. And, you know, like, he can't take his big old PC and do that. But if it's like, you know, like, I would say you can't go much bigger than a Series X size, but you think about what the chipsets and they're doing and all these things that they're innovating in, like, it probably will be about as large as a Series X. You could, if you want to, you could take that with you. But having a handheld that uses the cloud and all these other, I'm telling you, Microsoft is playing a different game. Like, you got to realize they're playing a different game. Like, they're gonna use the partners that they have. Clearly, Asus is one of them, and they're going to do that, and they're going to use that to their advantage, because at the end of the day, they already told you, Xbox, this is the Xbox, that's the Xbox. My TV is an Xbox. I don't need my Series X anymore because I'm a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. Now, maybe they change that aspect. Maybe they make the internet free, which everybody's asked for, because you can download games from Steam, even if it's their own games. These are all options. They're just giving you new stuff. And for once, I don't think they're too far ahead. And I think that's important because, you know, as much crap as I've given Microsoft over my lifetime and looked at like the way they've ran their business, they have completely changed. They want you to have options. You want to buy the game, you want to subscribe to Ultimate Game Pass, you want to do whatever. You want to just be a flat core Game Pass subscriber. They're giving you all of that, but they're also still giving you games randomly or giving you free games. And then also enticing you. Oh, all these PlayStation people are buying all these games. Well, why don't you like this game? You know what I mean? Oh, do you want to buy it too? They'll probably give you a discount because you're on Xbox. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't seen that case yet. I'm sure I'm going to see it at some point, but it's probably like $20, $30 cheaper if you want to buy that game and you're a core Game Pass subscriber. You know what I mean? They're just giving you options. What you choose is up to you.
Yeah, ultimately that's what it comes down to, brother. Great points of view as always, brother. You're killing it today. Listen, Jamie and Umbra, and of course we'll come back around to Crispy Bomb. I have a report that just came in, and I had it. I actually DM'd it to myself, and this is the timing is everything, as they say in life, right? So Windows Central is reporting. And this report was tweeted by Jez Corden of Windows Central, but it was written by Zach Bowden, published 3 hours ago. And this is where the timing gets into the conversation. First signs of the dedicated Xbox interface for Windows 11 handheld PCs has been spotted in its latest preview. This goes right along with the ROG Ally announcement yesterday. And again, yes, it was done in CG. Yes, it was done in a quirky Astrobot looking kind of a way. But obviously, they're talking about this ROG Ally X Xbox handheld. And I think this is around the corner. Again, I don't know if it's this week simply because Nintendo is going to be really stealing everyone's attention. And I don't know. I mean, ROG is a big company. Maybe you do this next week. but I don't think that they put out this 30-second CG trailer of what appears to be this mythical box that Jez Corden reported on a couple of weeks ago. My excitement has gone through the roof, and now we hear that they're the first signs of the dedicated Xbox interface, where, of course, what this is going to look like, apparently, is it's going to look and run like what's on your console. Yes, please. Where can I buy this and pre-order this thing? Let's get your thoughts on it, man.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a different product to what people like have thought they wanted, because when this whole PC, handheld thing was announced, or teased a few weeks ago or months ago, there was a lot of backlash in the Xbox community. People saying, look, I want to play my console games. This is a PC handheld. And we do know that the dedicated console, first party handheld device, that's coming at some point, which will play all your Xbox games. But this device, if you look at it as an Xbox ecosystem device, and if you play a lot of first party Xbox games and a lot of games that launch in Game Pass day one, those games are also on PC. So theoretically, you could play a lot of your Xbox library on this new PC handheld. So, and you're going to be able to access Steam, because the tag on the ROG Twitter account kept using play all your games, right? So obviously you're going to have access to Steam, the Epic Store, probably others, and having Xbox having a dedicated UI across the entire ecosystem, because I mentioned this last week, like Xbox, they see where this PC handheld stuff is going, right? Steam OS is going to be able to put on third-party devices. There's already one handheld that already has Steam OS on it, and like Xbox wants their software on handhelds. They don't want an early 2000s thing to happen where PlayStation was going to take over the living room, because it had a DVD player, and then Xbox came out. They want this to be basically kind of the same, if that makes sense. They can't let SteamOS be put on basically every single device, because look, Windows is the biggest operating system, but a lot of gamers basically just use their PCs just to play games. So if these people all of a sudden don't need Windows, that's a big problem for Microsoft. So them having a dedicated like OS structure for their handhelds and gaming, we're going to see that soon, and I think it's the way to go. And look, if you go back 5 years ago, I thought that nobody could ever do a handheld unless it was Nintendo, ever. And then Steam Deck came out and absolutely blew people's expectations away. And then the ROG came out, and people loved that thing. And one of my friends has a ROG. He can't shut up about the bloody thing. And like people are loving these PC handhelds. So like, if Xbox can get their brand associated with PC gaming and not just consoles, that's going to be a big win for them. And if you have like, console fans in chat, there's going to be something coming for us as well. If you play a lot of first party things, this is going to be for us as well, because look, I know people that basically only play Xbox first party games and the occasional Game Pass game and, things like GTA and stuff, right? This is going to be a device for them. So I think this device has a lot of potential, because whereas a few months ago people were complaining that this isn't the dedicated console handheld, but this is going to play a lot of people's games. And with how mobile gaming's popping off at the minute, has been for a few years, like Xbox wants to get out there running, because look, the Switch 2 is going to be showing off tomorrow. The Steam Deck 2 is probably going to be announced in the next year or two. Like Microsoft, they need to put their foot down and say, look, this is our PC handheld. And it won't be for everyone, but it's going to sell well. And personally, like I was going to wait for the console handheld 2 years from now, but I'm really interested to see what this is like, because maybe I'll pick one up. And I don't even play games outside the house. I'll just be sitting on the couch holding the thing. So like, I can't wait to see this. I think there's going to be a lot of people interested in this, especially if you play first-party games.
I think there's a lot to get excited about. Again, you can get a ROG right now. You can buy a Steam Deck. You can buy a Lenovo Legion Go. There are tons of choices for you out there. For me, who wants the console experience, I'm not looking for having to get into Windows 10, 11, wherever. I want it to run like an Xbox. This is great news for me. It's great news for a lot of people who simply want the console level experience, meaning you press a button, you turn this thing on, it goes right to your dashboard that looks like an Xbox. You pick a game and you play. Now, right now, we know that we can't play every game you own, but they're working on that. And when they get to their own handheld, I would imagine they'll have that figured out well in advance. But Infinite Number, let's get your final thoughts on this before I catch up on super chats, and then we'll get everyone out of here. I mean, this is confirmation, at least in my opinion. Again, now when you start adding these things up, right? You have the little commercial, the little CG trailer that doesn't give much, right? It's funny, it's comical, right? It's made to be cutesy, but it basically confirms that this thing exists. And I would imagine that we're going to get an announcement soon. How soon? I'm not sure. Because again, I think everyone's getting out of the way of the Nintendo Switch. But then, of course, you have the story that was posted by Windows Central today and written by Zach Bodwin, which basically confirms that the Xbox dedicated interface that we've been talking about, that we all want, is showing up out in the wild. This is great. Let's get your thoughts on this, man.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of gave up some good points, I think, on it. For me, already being a ROG goon, as we call ourselves. Shout out to Black John in the chat, the ROG goons. This might not speak to me necessarily just because I already have it, unless this is a significant upgrade and the tech involved. I don't see myself getting it. And then also have to take into account not next year, but in 2027, of course, the Xbox handheld. So it's like, do I want to get this? Do I need to get this? And what will I do once that hits? So it's kind of like, Now I know a bunch of guys who are connoisseurs of these handhelds, and they got multiple ones. I'm not that guy.
Oh, I can name a few. I'll name the names here.
Yeah.
John Wolf. John, if you're in the chat,
John
brother,
Wolf, for
he's probably has about 13 of them.
Shout out to John. He's in Japan right now.
Is another one who has quite a few.
Kay is another. Yep.
I mean, the list goes on and on. I have one. I have a ROG Ally that I'll be more than happy to sell, trade in, whatever, if you give me the Xbox dedicated handheld. Sign me up, please.
For sure. I mean, and John, shout out to him, by the way. He's in Japan right now, so he got to travel. But yeah, they both have multiple handhelds, and it's like, me, I'm just like, give me a good handheld and I'm done. I don't need to have multiples of it. But so for me, this has to have more significant tech involved for me to get involved with it. I like that. Clearly, they're showing that they put the handheld and they put the Rakiri Pro from Asus in there with it. So clearly, if you're reading that the way I'm reading it, it's going to have Xbox features on the outside of the shell, and it's going to likely have the controller contours around the ergonomics of when you hold it, right?
Yes,
that's what
we've heard rumors of it looking and feeling like a controller with grips.
Yep. And that's pretty much exactly what it's alluding to. If you looked at that, it's obvious. Also to a show like the Xbox layout with the YBAX and such layout. So all of that was in there too. So it's pretty clear. I'm a little surprised that Microsoft was like, yeah, go ahead and do it now. But it is what it is. It's a little teaser. They didn't really spoil anything. I mean, it's a worst kept secret anyway right now, right? Yeah, and also too, it did highlight some upgrades though. It did say that it has or at least it suggests that it had a better battery. One of the negatives for the original ROG is that it's not doesn't have a great battery in it, right? So, but I'm always plugged in, so I never have that issue. So not only am I getting the best performance because I can raise my TDP, but also I don't have to worry about my battery draining out the handheld rather and dying while I'm playing the game. And I've gamed on it a lot. So the TO suggested at least a better battery, faster speed, so like for performance, and it possibly might have that Ryzen Z2 chip, so it could be upgraded. It's possible. I mean, it will make the most sense to have it at that point. So hopefully that's the case. I'm excited just to see it out there. I just don't know if I'll be the customer for it because I already got what I got, and I'm just kind of practical like that. Like, I got one.
But that makes sense. Like, you already have. I mean, what I'm hoping for, so people like yourself don't get boxed out, is that when this thing goes public, whenever ROG releases this, it is going to come out of the box and it's going to look and run like an Xbox. That's the whole point of getting it. But my question to you, or more so a statement, is what should happen and what I'm expecting to happen is that update that's available in this new device will be available that day for you, the ROG Ally owner who doesn't want to go out and buy. Like, you're happy with the way your ROG runs, so you don't need this. See, for me, I really am looking for a handheld that runs like a Switch.
Well, it runs better than a Switch.
Well,
to be fair.
I mean, yes, in regards to power, sure, but the way it,
in fact, I've run a few Switch games on it.
Yeah, simply just press the power. You don't want.
Sorry, Nintendo. I'm joking. It's April Fools. They'll get you. They'll attend you.
But no. Honestly, you're not wrong. But to be fair, like, I want the experience to be like a Switch experience, meaning that when I turn it on, it goes right to the Switch dashboard.
You're saying like a big picture mode, basically.
Yes,
like
I don't want to know about the Windows experience. I don't even want to know what exists on this thing. I want it to be in the background. That's what I'm hoping this thing is. That's the way that the official Xbox is going to be. But until we get there, this is what I hope that the OEMs look and run like. And obviously we have more information that's going to be coming out in the next few days. That's going to give us again, ROG Ally likes to have these big press events. I would imagine they're going to make an announcement soon enough. We will certainly see. But gentlemen,
my thinking of it is this. Just the last part is that
sure.
I think it's going to have what you're talking about too. It's probably, they have right now the Armory crate, which
I'm okay with, but not a huge fan.
So what I think they're going to do here is, Mac just said it too. So what I think they're going to do is what you're talking about, which is basically the Xbox mode, which is what we're kind of expecting the Fusion hybrid console to do, right? So I'm guessing that they'll have that too, where you could just do that and load right up to what will be an Xbox UI or something like that. And then they'll have you for Windows mode too. You can go to the desktop and do other things if you want to. That's my guess.
And that makes sense. And if it turns out to be that, then awesome. But listen, let me catch up on Super Chats, gentlemen. We'll get everyone out of here. A big thank you to everyone that tuned in for today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation enough to either sub if you're not already subbed, or, of course, hit the like button. We have Coach Canuck, who's become a channel member once again. Coach, thank you for the generosity. And he also goes on to say, I cannot wait to play Doom the Dark Ages. Expedition 33, I cannot wait for that as well. My backlog is overflowing right now. I cannot keep up. Yeah, indeed, that's the big problem. And Expedition 33 looks like that is going to be a banger. Of course, day one inside Game Pass. We also have Sith Lord, who basically says and confirms that he has pre-ordered his Dreamcast Mini and Brutal Legend. LOL. Of course, how dare you, Sith Lord? The slander. But yeah, I wish there was a Dreamcast Mini because I would buy two. One to keep in the box and one to open because I'm a nerd like that. Day Reezy says, damn you, Umbra. Here's some truth south of midnight in a week.
Yeah. Sorry, brother. I had to do what I had to do.
Listen, that's fine. It's fine. We're still brothers. That's what brothers do to each other, right? We poke fun.
Indeed. Speaking of Valve, though, it's actually not a week away if you get the definitive
early edition. I mean, again, folks, I can't tell you to spend your money. It's $10.
It's only $10, y'all.
Yeah,
get it. I got it already. So I'll be on it on the 3rd.
$10 is what a cup of coffee and a croissant cost here in New York. So
croissant.
Croissant. Absolutely. And that's plain, by the way. That's not with cream cheese or butter or anything, or whatever. But we have two super chats here from Do You K Now, the Broke Boy Insider. The first one, he says the devs from Expedition 33 have announced that the game has gone gold. That is awesome. Of course, that game is going to come out in a couple of weeks, and I freaking can't wait. We also have second super chat. He says, Boom, did you see the Comic-Con photos I emailed you? Brother, I have not, but I will check them out after the show. I literally had just gotten done working out 15 minutes before the show went live, but I'll definitely check them out and hit you up. And, of course, our generous friend all the way from Hawaii, as he's done many times before, Nino Vestek has once again donated and has gifted one Double Barrel Gaming membership as he's done. Thank you so much for the generosity and the continued support, brother. We super appreciate that
Mahalo.
here. Mahalo to you and aloha to you and the family as well. Let's get everyone out of here, and we'll start first with, of course, Crispy Bomb. Crispy, thank you again for popping in and dropping the crispy truth as you always do. Can't wait to have you back on the show. By all means, sell the brand. Where can people follow you on social media, and what else you got going on, dude?
It's always a pleasure, gentlemen. At Crispy Bomb on X, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me wherever I show up on mostly Boom's channel. I mean, I've thrown it out there many times. Like, hey, like I love to argue. So, you know, some of you PlayStation guys, I'm just saying, you're welcome to invite me because I've been on many. And trust me, it's a hard win if you win.
Well, listen, brother, great to have you here as always. And of course, speaking of guests, if you didn't know, and if you don't know this, Okami 13_, you've heard of him? Well, Okami and I have been talking in the DMs, and we're going to get him on the show. I've sent him the list. I think we got to, again, I don't care where he has the key to the front door. So Okami 13 is going to be joining us in the coming week. I don't know what we're going to be talking about because obviously it changes by the day. I'm waiting for him to pick what show best works for his schedule. But yes, follow this man. He has nearly 50,000 followers on Twitter. And he just actually started where he's asking for anyone that wants to sub. Of course, I sub day one because that guy is an absolute gem of the community and consistently drops banger information. So Okami 13 is going to be joining us as a guest in the next week or so, and I will make that announcement once we get the confirmation of what show works best for his schedule. Hey, Decado, welcome back, brother. Sorry I didn't welcome you in personally. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Unleashed Recompile is also only the beginning. The software can change many things. Dude, I am so excited for these things. And again, if they run like an Xbox and they look like an Xbox, you got to remember, Jez Corden did say during that article that it unmistakably looks like an Xbox. So I'm in. I'm buying this thing. And supposedly there's 2 different flavors in regards to pricing. I think one's $4.99. The rumor, one is $5.99. I think the difference might be the chipset, or it might be the hard drive, or both. We will definitely see. But Jamie Moran, sell the brand, brother. You and Logan Meyer later this afternoon, I believe 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, we'll be having the new episode of All Things Xbox. And of course, you do that each and every week. And if you're not talking about Splinter Cell, if you're not talking about Mass Effect, you're talking about Xbox. You're having some jokes. You also did drop a big video yesterday. Brother, sell the brand. Where can people check out yesterday's video? Check out tonight's show with Logan. And more importantly, follow you and subscribe on the socials.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys on this show. So yeah, my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. I pretty much exclusively cover Xbox. There's a bunch of Mass Effect stuff thrown in there as well. Talk about a lot about sci-fi games. I have All Things Xbox podcast on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to be talking about some Switch 2 predictions that actually relate to Xbox. I think that's going to be fun over there. And it's always super chill. There's no fanboy stuff over there. Always, positive Xbox stuff, but we'll get into the nitty-gritty if we ever need to. But yeah, at 6 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be fun over there. And I put out a video last night, the 10 biggest new games coming to Xbox in April. It was a fun video putting together, but let me tell you, copyright claims galore.
I bet.
Yeah, but hey, hope people enjoy it. There's great games coming to Xbox this month. And my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes. I also do Blue Sky and Threads as Jamie Moran. Rarely now, because it's just so hard to do multiple social medias at the same time.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm part of Blue Sky, and it looks like a nice place to visit, but I can't live there because I already live in one house and in school there, and it's just too much. But
yep.
Infinite Umbra, let's sell the brand, brother. Where can people check out you and Daniel McGee every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the new episode of The Fix? And by the way, I know that I don't watch wrestling, but I saw Khalif Adams put a clip out there regarding what happened between John Cena
and
Cody
Rhodes.
And Cody Rhodes. And
Man, listen,
Wow,
John is one of the
dude.
coldest on the mic now. So I got to give Cody some credit for being able to hang with him a little bit there. I ain't gonna say a little bit. I think he did a good job.
I think he
John,
had
yeah,
again. I
yeah.
haven't watched that. Listen, these are. I'm an old school cat. Like I like the NWO, and I haven't really watched wrestling in many years. But I've been watching this, and this. Wow, dude! Like, first of all, I didn't know what move he was doing, and when he did that move to him, I was like, "Oh my! Did he break his neck?" What?
Yeah, I love that move. Actually, it's pretty dope looking. Yeah, man, that was I love hearing John get on the mic when he's like really passionate about it, because like one of the things, like some of the stuff they were saying to each other, by the way, was dead on what people were saying about John. For instance, like he can't wrestle, and because they said he only had like 4 moves or something like that, which he did. It's the truth. And that he would bury talent, and he's like, I don't bury talent, I am the talent. He says, I bury mediocrity. I'm like, ooh, the bars. Oh, the man is cold with it. He's cold with it. And I agree, Thanos. Attitude Era is undefeated. It's the best ever song.
I agree. Yeah, that's hard to argue that. Sure.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely probably cover some of the wrestling. I'm going to guess this week will probably be more about the Switch situation, because it's going to be announced and they're shown rather. So we'll likely be covering things for Nintendo this week.
Yeah, but you know what you're going to get out of Daniel is
you already know.
For good, man.
Yeah, you already know.
He is a Switch slanderer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm half expecting it right now, so we'll see what he thinks. Yeah, I think he's the pessimist amongst us. I'm the optimist. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out, and yeah, I'll iron out some other things. So yeah, for you guys that don't know, I'll put the link in the chat. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. We'd like to hit 2,000, very close.
Nice
subs at least. Yeah, we go live Thursdays at 8:00 Eastern, and yeah, we have fun. You guys should come by. I think we have a really good time. We talk about a lot of things, and I definitely check in the chat and check you guys' thoughts and and look into what you're talking about as well. I consider it like a open discussion, except we just can't hear you, and you all just you mute. You're hand signaling me basically. No, but yeah, come by. Shout out to Crispy again for joining us. Shout out to Jamie for doing this thing. And Jamie, make sure you please post that before I doze off so I can share it out for you, brother.
Will do.
And yeah, everybody in the chat, have a good day.
Well, thank you, brother. And of course, a big thank you to the chat. Big thank you for always being here, supporting the channel, either through the subs, the likes, the shares, and of course, all of the super chats that come in, as well as the channel member chats that continue to support the channel behind the scenes. And of course, like I've said before a million times, those really do get used to our best advantage possible, because we do a massive amount of giveaways. This year has been a little slower simply because, well, the world is just the world, man. And obviously Mrs. Boom and I are saving for our first home, and it ain't easy in 2025, but we're making it work. And of course, by the end of the year, as we've done before, we always do the big giveaways for our birthday bashes and the big holiday one. We'll try and sneak another 1 or 2 in there. We'll see how the finances look. But I want to thank everybody for taking the time.
You got 2 super chats that came.
Oh, let me get in there. Thank you, kind sir. That's very thank you for reminding me. We have here, you know what? I'm going to go with Flight 116 on this one. And that's because as great as the Attitude Era was, and it really was good, nothing beats the NWO for life. And you know what? Hollywood Hogan and Nash and that whole crew, they used to just take over the whole thing. They would just roll in and just beat the balls off of everybody. It was great. I mean,
a little NWO on their back.
It was great, especially when they started adding people. And then, of course, you had NWO Red versus the NWO White and Black. It was great. So shout out to Flight
Macho Man Randy Savage.
That was the biggest heel turn of history until the Giant Cena thing with Cody Rhodes. Because remember, obviously, they were tag team partners, and that's when NWO started, and they spray painted Randy Macho Man's back. I mean, like, holy shit. I still can't believe that actually happened, but that was awesome. Flight 116 dropped a very generous $2 super chat, and he says, WCW was better than the Attitude Era. Listen, I'm gonna have to join his team on this one. I like NWO better. And again, the Attitude Era dope, but NWO better. Sorry. We also have
all love to both of you, but I
Indeed.
love me some Attitude Era.
Yeah,
We had BX and all that rolling up to the WCW headquarters in the tank.
That was dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was excellent. We also have Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat. Hey, happy birthday, Torino Johnson. Hey, he donated.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, brother. Thank you so much. He says this: enjoying my birthday, finished Indy and Hellblade 2, Call of Duty next. Both great games. Yeah, I mean, you're chipping away through your backlog, and it's only going to get bigger. And this month is just so many games. It's crazy, but happy birthday once again, Torino. Thank you for being here, brother, and thank you for the generosity. And of course, Joe Dunmore, welcome, as well as Punty. I did say hello to Punty. I didn't see Joe. Joe, welcome as always, brother. Great to have you here. Folks, that's going to do it for us here. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button on your way out the door. Share it on the socials. Let people know about today's show. I will be cutting these down into more digestible videos later on today. And of course, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show and close the show as we always do here. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids, and I'd like to share that with you. He used to say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.